My name is Shime. If you're not, thank you for tuning back in. OGT gang members, please tell the newcomers that it's all love here. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about my labor and delivery. You guys know it's about to be a story time. If I'm sitting in this chair, guys, this is my story time chair. Go make yourself a cup of tea, go grab yourself some snacks. It's about to get interesting, all the tea. So if you guys haven't watched...
Which chair? Guys, this girl is just stealing my chair. It's not even her content area, she's just borrowing it for the day.
Vico, can you please not interrupt my video?
Okay, sorry. Continue guys, continue, grab your teas and your popcorn, but it's not a chair.
Let me rephrase, this is my husband's chair, but it's my story time chair, okay? If you guys haven't watched my how I found out I was pregnant video, please click out of this one and go watch that one first, because the stories kind of intertwine. But just to give like a little background, I'll start with my pregnancy, just like a few snippets. And I did really take my time with this one, with coming out with this video or filming this video, because it was quite a traumatic event for me. So I really needed time to let everything sink in, come to terms with everything, and just realize like, whoa, that just happened, you know? Let me just sip some tea before I start. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was actually quite far along. So I was 3 or 4 months pregnant when I went into the doctor officially for a sonar. So I wasn't 100% sure of my due date. That was factor number one. I didn't know when I had conceived, and I didn't know what the due date was going to be. So I started having Braxton Hicks. I thought they were Braxton Hicks. I would say they're Braxton Hicks because I also had them with Elijah, but then with time they started getting more and more painful. So my scheduled delivery date was the 26th of April, but then I ended up going in on the 19th as per my doctor's advice, because at the last sauna that I was at, I'm not sure if he saw something and he didn't tell us, but it was at that sauna that he decided that, okay, we're actually going to move up your delivery date much sooner. He didn't really say why, but I could tell that there was like something wasn't okay, you know. After everything, he was like, okay, we're going to move up your delivery date. Instead of the 26th, we're going to do the 19th. And then, you know, as human beings, we just think we know it all. So I was there like, no, why so early? Because baby was measuring much smaller than she was supposed to be. So he was like, she's a bit small, but it's fine. I would advise that we just deliver much earlier. And I was like, no, why? She still needs to grow. You think you know it all. When you have Dr. Google, when you've been pregnant before, your little experience, so you think you have it all down. So I was there trying to fight with the doctor, but he was like, no, I strongly advise that you do the 19th. And I'm like, okay, you know, because I respect everyone in their own professions, because at the end of the day, I'm not a doctor. If my doctor is telling me that, no, I strongly advise that you do this, then I'm going to do it, because I know I'm not a doctor, you know. And we must just respect each other in our respective professions. So on the 18th, I had really bad contractions, like really bad. I didn't sleep at all. I thought they were Braxton Hicks. I would say Braxton Hicks, you guys, because you guys know that my first delivery was also a C-section. So I'm not even really sure what are contractions, what are Braxton Hicks, what's real, what's not at this point. All I know is that they were really painful. But the doctor did mention that they're not supposed to be painful. That's also another thing another concern that I raised to him at the last appointment was that, no, I'm having really bad contractions. They feel like period cramps. They're painful. There's a tightening, there's pressure, everything. So all those symptoms I was experiencing on the 18th. So then I was supposed to go in 5 a.m. check in at Lady Pohamba, and then they were going to do the delivery around like 7, I think. So during the night, I couldn't sleep. We didn't sleep a wink because it was just so painful. Like I couldn't go to sleep because I was in so much pain. And then my husband kept saying like, should we just go? Should we just go? And I'm like, no, it's fine. You know, it's just like a couple of hours. I can wait. I can stick it through. You guys, I should have just gone in. I honestly should have just gone in. But then we got to the hospital late. We were late because it just took so much time getting ready, getting in the shower. You know, you need to be showered and groomed and all that because you're about to go into surgery. I was hungry because you know you're not supposed to eat before surgery. And at 9 months pregnant, you guys know that you wake up hungry. So I was hungry and weak, in pain, shivering, all of that. So I took forever to get in and out of the shower, get dressed, get the baby dressed because the baby, get Elijah dressed. We did that. We got to the hospital. I think it was to 6, so it was like 5:40 something. We got there. We checked in, and they wheeled me up with a wheelchair. I don't know why, because I was fine to walk, but they said it's protocol to like wheel you up in a wheelchair. They also did that to me with the first one. And then I got there, and then they put the monitor on my belly just to check the baby's heartbeat, everything was okay. And then the doctor came in right before the surgery, and then he's like, okay, it's time. And then he just like gets out, and then they change me and everything. So then you get put in your hospital gown. I was put in the hospital gown, and then they put an IV in my hand, and then they wheeled me to the theater room. As soon as we got to the theater room, for some reason, everyone was just rushing. Like they were in such a rush, and I'm like, what is going on here? You know, like they were really like rushing. Like you could feel the tension in the air, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, something's off. But then optimistic me is trying to be like, okay, you know, just stay positive, it's okay, you know, they're just doing their job. They started with the spinal tap. So you guys know when you're doing a C-section, you get a spinal tap that numbs you from waist down. So I've had the spinal tap before. I know exactly how it feels like. I know the process. For some reason this time, I think because I anticipated it, or I knew what was going to happen. Last time, I think I was saved by the fact that I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was kind of just taking everything as it was, you know. But this time, I knew what was going on. So I'm like, I know that this is going to burn. I know that it's going to sting. So they did like the trial. They do like a trial. They're like, okay, let's practice first. Because the spinal tap is extremely sensitive. You can't move. You can't do anything. If you move, you're at risk for paralysis because they literally put medicine in your spine. They put a needle through your spine, a huge needle at that, let me mention. For some reason, I forgot that there were 2 needles. So they put one needle in, they administer the medicine, and then they take it out, and then they put another needle in. So I didn't anticipate the second needle, so I sort of flinched, and you're not supposed to move because I was really, really tense. So when they put in the second needle and I flinched, they were like, uh-oh, you're not supposed to do that. Just try to relax. They kept saying, try to relax. So my body was very, very, very tense. And for some reason, you guys, it hurt so much. I don't know if I was just like psyching myself out, but you guys, it really hurt. I don't know what it was, but it really hurt. I had the exact same team, same doctor, same anesthesiologist, same hospital, same trauma room, same hospital room. Like I had the exact same experience, but for some reason I was just so anxious. I don't know what was wrong with me, you guys. I was doing everything so slowly. I was so tensed. I was anxious to the point where I like started shaking. The people are asking, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm okay. You know, trying to put a brave face while I'm really not okay. They lay me back on the chair. They strap up my arms, all that, and then they test if the epidural is in. So they put an ice pack. They take an ice pack, they test it on your stomach, then your legs, and then they ask, okay, what can you feel? Can you feel this? If you can feel cold, then it hasn't kicked in yet. But if you can just feel like a touching, then it's kicked in, because you're not supposed to feel cold, you're just supposed to feel like the touching sensation. And then they started the surgery, and for some reason they didn't allow my husband to look. So my husband was standing right next to me, and they didn't allow him to look over the curtain. Last time he was allowed to look over the curtain. So they didn't allow him to look over the curtain this time. Apparently there were some incidents with some dads that couldn't handle the graphics, so they now don't allow their dad to look over the curtain. I started feeling like I felt the pressure, but I feel like I was feeling some pain as well. And like I was just kind of visualizing what they were doing, which was really, really bad. You're not supposed to think about it at all. So my anesthesiologist, he's standing here, my husband is standing here. So they're both trying to talk to me and be like, bro, calm down. Because everything the doctor would do, I'll be like, you know, just flinching, because I can feel the pressure, you know. You can feel the pressure, you can't feel the pain. And looking back now, I don't think I felt any pain. I think I was just really, really anxious. At one point, the doctor did stop, and he's like, she's very tense, just try to calm her down. Because the anesthesiologist was saying that, no, usually second timers, if you're a second time C-section, you tend to psych yourself out. So because you know what's going to happen, you're anticipating it, and you are like making the pain out to be more painful than it actually is, or you're making it out to be painful when it's actually not. So I'm there saying, no, I'm in pain. The guy's saying, no, you're not in pain. It's not pain. You're just psyching yourself out. Just try to calm down. And then I'm like, no, I swear I'm in pain. And I'm looking at Vico. I'm like, bro, this hurts. Like, it really hurts. Vico's looking at me like, just calm down. What are you doing? You've done this before. It's not painful, you know. So he's just trying to be like, bro, like, he's giving me a face like, like, what's going on with you? And then the anesthesiologist, he's like, I don't want to give you anything for anxiety right now, because you're not going to remember anything. So just try to calm down until the baby comes, right? So they finally got through all the layers, and then they pushed the baby out, like, so they press on your stomach, the baby came out. And then the baby wasn't crying. She was not crying. I'm asking, why isn't the baby crying? No one is answering me. Literally, I'm like talking, no one is answering me, right? So I'm looking at Vico like, what's going on? Vico's just like, he's just staring at the baby, you know. And then the anesthesiologist is trying to reassure me, no, don't worry, your baby's fine. And I'm like, why isn't she crying? She's not crying, the baby isn't crying. And then he's like, don't worry, she'll cry. And then she finally like makes a sound, like she goes like, ah! And then she's shimnama kurira, like she wants to cry, but she can't. So she goes like, up! And then like her cry goes back in. And then I'm like, what's going on? At this point, Vico left. So he let go of my hand, and then he goes to the baby. And then I'm like, boy, the only person that I could talk to is gone. So I'm like, what's going on? Where's the baby? Don't worry, ma'am, your baby's fine. What they kept saying. And then she finally cries, but you can hear like she has water in her airways. So she's trying to cry, but there's water. So like you can hear them like just beating it out of her, like beating her back or like tapping her back. With Elijah came out. He cried straight away, 3 strong cries. And then before I knew it, they brought him over. So that's what I was expecting this time, but it was different. So with Eliana, she made a sound, not even after she was out for like a couple of seconds, she wasn't making a sound. She made a sound, like one sound, and then I'm just hearing tapping on her back, and like she has water in her airways. That's what I heard. And they weren't bringing her over to me. And then eventually they bring her over. She's gray. My child is gray. Like, she's gray. When Elijah came, he was like pink, you know. With Eliana, she came over and she was gray, and they put her on my chest, and I'm looking at her like, what's going on with the child? Like, what's wrong with the child? I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at the doctor like, what's going on with her? And then something comes out of her mouth, like she's burping, or like she's spitting up. But I'm like, she hasn't had any milk. What is she spitting up? And I'm looking at the doctor like, guys, what's going on? Yo, when I look back, you guys, I was such a hysterical patient. People keep saying like I was the most annoying patient. The doctor just keeps saying, don't worry, your baby's fine, don't worry, your baby's fine. And then after they take the baby away, they start closing, right? Okay, they didn't even stop. Like even when I had the baby, they were still busy. But then when they take the baby away, I guess my focus went back onto like the surgery and claiming that I can feel things. And then the doctor is like, okay, we're gonna give you something to calm down. So then he put something in my IV. And I swear you guys, from the moment they took the baby away, the last thing I remember was, okay, we're gonna give you something to calm down. And I don't remember anything after that in the theater room. I don't remember anything. So I get back to my room, right? Let me give you guys some perspective. With the last time, you guys should really watch my last labor and delivery story time. It was much different from this one. I also have a labor and delivery story time up on my channel with Elijah's birth. So you guys should go watch that one if you haven't. So for some perspective, after Elijah was born, they gave the baby to Viku to do skin to skin. So then Viku was with the baby in the nursing room. So then when they rolled me back in, Viku came back in the room with the baby. So then with this time, I got rolled back in. No one was in my room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then Viku comes in and I'm like, where's the baby? And then he's like, oh no, I don't know. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then the nurse comes in and I'm like, where's my baby? And then the nurse is like, oh no ma'am, your baby's in the NICU. And then I start fixing myself in my chair, in my bed. I'm like, what's going on? Why is my baby in the NICU? The doctor diagnosed her with meconium aspiration syndrome. I heard that word, like I know what it means, but in that moment I just heard the word syndrome and aspiration. Okay, my baby can't breathe. That's what I started thinking. I'm like, oh my goodness, my baby is not going to be able to breathe properly for the rest of her life. So I started freaking out. I'm like, wait, what do you mean she has? What does that mean? Where is she? What? She left. She came back with the doctor, with the pediatrician, the baby doctor now. And then the baby doctor, he's explaining like, no ma'am, no need to worry. He's a very bubbly guy. No need to worry. Baby is fine, you know. She's getting her color. Don't worry, we can treat this with our eyes closed. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Can I go see her? And then he's like, oh no ma'am, unfortunately you won't be able to see her today. I'm like, what? No, like obviously you cannot move, you can't walk to the NICU, and we can't take her out of the NICU, so you won't be able to see her today. When will I be able to see her? Oh no, as soon as you are able to walk. You guys, when I heard that, I just wanted to cry. I'm like, what do you mean? The last time I saw my baby, she was gray and she was spitting up stuff. Of which it makes sense now. She was spitting up the... Okay, let me explain what meconium aspiration syndrome is for those that don't know. So when your baby is overdue, they are at risk of pooping in the sac, and then they are also at risk of because they drink the water that's in the sac. When there's meconium in it, they get infection in their lungs. So she had swallowed the meconium. She had swallowed the water that was stained with meconium. So they put her in the NICU just to clear the infection in her lungs. So they just gave her antibiotics through an IV. Imagine, you just arrived and you're already being put on an IV. You are in a box. So I felt so bad for her, you know. But the doctors were saying that your child is like full term, like she's full term. Because I thought that because she was measuring small, and that because we had pushed the due date up, like she wasn't ready to come out, you know. But because of my contractions and the fact that she had like when a baby comes out and there are like lines on their skin, or their skin is a little like wrinkly, like that means that they are full term. And then thinking back, I also realized that because we weren't sure 100% sure of our conception date, we might have gotten the dates wrong because we didn't know when exactly my last period was or when exactly we had conceived. Those things, like when I was alone in my room, those were the thoughts that were running through my mind, like, oh my gosh, I actually thought that I was like, we were bringing the baby, like the baby was gonna come too early, she wasn't gonna be ready. But in hindsight, like, she was full term. And when the baby poops in the sac, it means that they are overdue. So like that, the meconium aspiration happens mostly when a baby is in utero for too long. So like everything ties into how God's hand was literally over every single aspect of my pregnancy, from finding out I was pregnant to not even, like, I hadn't taken prenatal vitamins for like 4 months of my pregnancy, yet the baby was born healthy. I thought that baby was gonna come too soon. So if we had gone, or if the doctor didn't intervene on insisting on delivering the baby as soon as he did, it could have been a different outcome, because I did go to the post-op. So like 1 week after your surgery, you need to go to post-op. So during my post-op, the doctor was telling me that when we delivered your placenta wasn't even like, placenta wasn't working, it was finished, it was done. So even if we had delivered like 2-3 days later, it would have been like a different outcome. It could have been a stillbirth, we wouldn't know what had happened. She was ready to come out. So and then day 2, that's when I finally recovered and could walk. So I finally went to go see my baby in the NICU. You guys, as soon as I saw her, I just, like, tears just went running down my face, because she was in tubes, like she was connected to tubes on these machines. So I was just really overwhelmed, and the nurses were telling me that she's really hungry. And you know, when your child is like, I felt the same thing with Elijah, because my milk didn't come in right away, and I was trying to feed, but I didn't have milk, so he was also hungry, and I also felt really emotional with that. And then she came and I wasn't able to feed her the first day of her life. So like, I saw her and she was so small and she was on these tubes, and I'm like, yo, I can't even give you the one thing that I was made to give you. So all those emotions came rushing in. My face, like, was just like, tears just came running down my face. And then I was just there holding her, did our first skin to skin. It was beautiful. And then eventually they discharged her from the NICU, brought her to my room. Day 3, day 4, we got discharged. So that was basically my labor and delivery story time, you guys. It was really another testimony of God's sovereignty, and like just proving that God's will is what's going to prevail at the end of the day. Not anything that we can do, but everything that He wills is what's going to happen. So we named our little baby girl Eliana, and we also named her after both our moms. So her middle names are actually both our moms' names. I can't physically, like, out loud say my mom's names. I can't do that. That's so disrespectful. I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, that is the story of our second labor and delivery. It was such a blessing, and God really walked with us through the entire journey, no doubt. Because when I look at myself, I was a mental wreck. Like, I was so oblivious, I was so nonchalant, I was so anxious at times. But like, at the end of the day, the Lord really carried us through, and He brought us out in one piece. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Thank you guys so much for all the love that you've been showing me on my past videos. It really is good to, like, come back to my little online community. I really do appreciate you guys. You guys have been with me through a lot, so I really appreciate you guys and I appreciate your support. With that said, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.